Hi, I'm Tom. This is Lucy. And this is Kitty Help Desk. So I had someone, a young person, ask me a question, and I thought, well, this is a really good question for a video. And her question was, why does my cat bite me? I think a lot of people wonder about that. We as adults, we tend to not ask questions that we feel like maybe we should know the answer to. So we avoid those things. But children are very forthcoming with any kinds of question they have about something. They're very willing to ask. And that's one of the great things about children. So I wanted to answer her question, why does her cat bite her? And this is surprisingly a more complicated answer than you might think. And it really starts at birth. When cats are hand-reared, if a cat has been removed from the nest too early, they may lack certain inhibitions, and they may bite too hard or play too rough, things like that. That often happens with hand-reared cats who are bottle-fed. You find that from a number of breeders at times because they're trying to rush cats out. They're trying to make more money off of them. I'd really, highly recommend that you not purchase cats from breeders, but sometimes people want a particular breed of cat. I understand that. But you want to make sure this is a reputable breeder that understands cat behavior and doesn't do things like this, because it can result in a cat that for their entire lives, you have to be sort of battling this urge to bite too hard, play too rough. Once they pass this developmental hurdle, there's no going back. You can't just go back and turn them into a cat that doesn't bite so hard. In fact, what you have to do is really start encouraging them not to bite at all. Whereas cats use gentle biting as a communication tool. If I'm, sort of bothering Lucy, sometimes I might pet her too more than she wants. See, she's biting me a little bit now. It's very gentle. She's doing it because she thinks that I've got more treats in this hand, but I don't. And now she just realized that I don't. So she's out of here. But the idea is that a cat uses that sometimes as a communication tool, and that's perfectly fine. If they bite you gently, and they're just trying to tell you either, maybe they get overstimulated while you're petting them too much and you're not reading the signs, like if their back muscles ripple while you're petting them or their tail starts to thrash around and you don't stop petting them, they're going to let you know. Okay, they might bite you or bat at you with their paw just to get you to stop. But most cats in that situation are going to bat with a paw that has the claws retracted, or they'll bite gently. That sort of thing is perfectly acceptable behavior. That kind of biting is just communicative. But it's when the cat really chomps down on you. That's a problem. And that's when that's more likely to happen when a cat has been raised to think of hands and feet as toys. This happens fairly frequently with kittens because we can just roll the kittens around, play with them, and their tiny little teeth and their claws aren't that hurtful, and so we just play and play and play with them, but we play a little too rough. And over that period of time, they're very young, so this is making a huge impression on them, and they're learning that your hand is basically a toy. And if you teach them that your hands are toys, you shouldn't be surprised that they come and bite your hands from time to time. You have to basically replace your hands with other toys. Anytime they bite your hands, you put them away safely or you leave the room. My suggestion is mainly to leave the room for at least 2 minutes so that they move on and do something else. But that biting is like pressing a button that says boredom on it, so that every time they bite, the result is their own boredom. And that's something that you can use for a lot of different behaviors, but for biting, it's particularly effective because the bite is a very specific moment in time. And so if that occurs, you want to discourage it in a very gentle way. If you fight back with the cat, if you pull away, ow, right? Do any of these responses, you will inadvertently reinforce this behavior and you will ensure that it will go on forever. Your cat will bite you ongoing, because you've provided additional stimulation. You've essentially created kind of a game out of this. And that's the last thing you want to do. So you absolutely, if a cat does bite, say, a finger, the best thing to do is to push your finger towards them, which goes against your instinct, but If you push your finger towards them, they will release it. If you pull away from them, they're just going to dig in and bite harder, okay? So you want to push your finger gently towards them, then quickly remove it and leave the room. Now, another reason why cats sometimes bite is because you have stimulated the area around their mouths. Just like us, like I can't see this area where my hand is now, okay? Cats can't see around their mouths either. They use their whiskers as a tool to find where prey is near their mouth, okay? So when they're chasing prey, first of all, they don't see very well up close. They have kind of a middle distance focal point for their eyes. When something's up really close, they can't see it clearly. So they're relying more on their sense of smell and their whiskers to tell them where the prey is near their mouth. And you may inadvertently, by playing around their mouth, rubbing around their mouth, you might inspire them to bite because it's triggering that death bite impulse from the cat. So if that happens, that's not a quote unquote bad behavior on the cat's part. That is really, you have triggered that behavior by the way you've been interacting with the cat. So to end that, really all you have to do is stop putting your hands around the cat's mouth, and that behavior will stop. Now, if you want to, sometimes cats like to be rubbed at the edges of their mouths. Use your knuckles for that. Don't use tips of fingers. You just use your knuckles and just rub them like that. But if they ever just kind of turn and kind of start to gnaw on you, that's the end of it. Walk away. And they will very quickly learn that that kind of biting is not something that's going to get them anything that they want. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.